What's up, guys? Emmanuel Jones here, and we back at it with another video. And we're doing our NFL tier rankings for 2023. This is way too early 2023 predictions. Now, the Super Bowl has passed, and we want to congrats the Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl this year because they deserve it. Now Super Bowl has passed, but now we gotta get into the off season where we do our tier rankings. So before I get to the video, don't forget to put the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and don't forget to comment down in the opinion below to see where you rank your favorite team at. So here are the tiers. We got the first tier, we got the favorites, which is always the best of the best. We got the second tier, we got a contender, which obviously could be the second best team. Dark horse, the third tier, dark horse, it's probably where teams, can probably make some noise and maybe make a playoff push. Mid, the fourth tier, we got mid, which they're kind of average, but sometimes pretty good, but not bad. Intriguing mess. Teams are just obviously a mess and almost be like the second worst team. And basically, the last tier, you just suck. So let's get things started. So we got the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Arizona Cardinals to me, they're a fascinating team, but to me, the quarterback is questionable, which the quarterback was hurt. So who knows if Kyler Murray is going to be ready by week 1? Because all he's going to be doing is playing Call of Duty. But don't get me wrong here. And the Cardinals, they're looking to move some of their players this offseason. D-Hop could definitely be traded. I can see that happening because we know he was traded last time. Offensive line's old, and it sucks. They got some playing weapons on offense. You got Marquise Brown, Robbie Anderson, Rondale Moore, Zach Ertz. They got playing weapons on offense, but defensively, they're very weak up front, especially in the secondary because, you lost J.J. Watt and he retired. And also you got new head coach in Jonathan Gannon, which I think he's going to be special. But to me, I'm going to say the Cardinals are going to be in the you stink category because I don't think the Cardinals are going to be that special. But here's the thing. If Jonathan Gannon is going to bring the Philadelphia Eagles scheme to this defense with no corners, no safeties, no linebackers, no defensive linemen, this will be the worst team in the league. But I'm just going to put them in the worst team in the league until they make some big-time moves. But if they do, then this team can be definitely dangerous. So I got the Cardinals at the you stink category. Next team, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta, to me, is another interesting team. Now, Atlanta nearly made the playoffs last year, which that was good for them. But Atlanta kind of really feels like a team. They won 7 games this year, and they nearly made the playoffs, though, which they should have. But to me, Arthur Smith, entering his second or third year I think his third year as a head coach. Dean Payne still the coordinator. So that coaching combo is really good, but not great. Offensively, they need some work. They don't got really much weapons on offense that scare you. Drake London is awesome. Kyle Pitts is a stud. Maybe they made Cordell Patterson, is getting older though, but they may look to improve at running back. They may look to add another receiver. Offensive line is not great. They need some work. Defensively, they need some work up front, even in the secondary. But the secondary is okay. AJ Terrell is pretty good. They may look, and Casey Hayward, we know he's getting older. Maybe they may look to add another corner. They may look to add a safety. But They also need some linebackers, though. They need to improve linebackers. Defensive line needs an improvement. You know, they need to add another pass rusher to go along Grady Jarrett. So, yeah, and also we don't really know who the quarterback's going to be because we know Mariota's not going to be there. You know he's not there because it's already cut. And then you got Desmond Ridder, which I don't really know if he's going to be that special, but I don't really think he will be that special. But to me, the Falcons kind of feel like I think they need to improve their roster a little bit more until I be a believer. But they were such a mess last year, and they were like mid. They were somewhere in that category, but to me, I think they're somewhere in this category. But I'm gonna say they just stink for right now. Maybe I can change my mind. But look here, if they can at least look to at least bring in a quarterback, like if they can bring in like a veteran, then this team will. Then I'll probably move this team up a little bit. I think they'll take a step forward this year, and they might go on a playoff push. So yeah, I just think Atlanta stinks for me. All right, next team we have the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore, that's a tough one. I mean, people argue saying that they are a contender though, and some of this dark horse. You know what? I'm gonna put them as a contender, but I don't know if I can put them in the favorite category yet because the Ravens always seem to choke every playoffs and they just never make the Super Bowl. Never make they never make the finals. But the reason why I put the Ravens as a contender is because they got Lamar Jackson as long as he's there. But if Lamar Jackson leaves, this team will definitely be a mess. So, but I don't really know. But I feel like the Ravens, they got some talent though. Offensively, they're really good. They may look to add another receiver. We know Bateman was hurt, so he should be fully back and healthy. Mark Andrews is a stud. The running back position is pretty good with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Offensive line is pretty good. Defensively, they're really good, but they're getting older on defense. Maybe they may look to add more depth. Secondary, it's very strong. I can see Marcus Peters going somewhere else, but they can lose him, but I don't think it's a bit of a loss. Maybe they look to replace him if he leaves. Safeties are good. Kyle Hamilton's a beast. Marcus Williams is a beast. So, yeah. So the Ravens defense is pretty strong, but they got a new offensive coordinator, though. And I don't really know who their offensive coordinator is because we know Greg Roman got fired. So the Ravens got a new OC named Todd Monken. We're going to see how well the offense is going to do with him. Even without the quarterback, I don't really know what it's going to look like. But John Harbaugh is still an elite coach as well. So, and he never had a losing season in a while. But yeah, so the Ravens, they should be good next year as long as Lamar Jackson stays. But this could definitely change my mind if he leaves the Ravens. So yeah, Ravens are definitely a contender. All right, next team we got the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills to me, and I forgot. Don't forget how when the Ravens, made that playoff exit, they only lost that game because of that fumble, 99 yards. So make sure you remember that. All right, next team we have the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills to me, I kind of feel like that the Buffalo Bills are. I'm kind of leaning towards favorite and contender, but you can argue both. But I'm just gonna say they're a contender because they got Josh Allen. But I think too many people been too many too many people depending on Josh Allen. And, you know, the whole coaching staff is gone. I mean, Ken Darson is still a good coordinator, but the bad news is that Leslie Frazier left, is not coaching. So that's not a huge of a loss. Sean McDermott's still a good defensive coach. Bill's got plenty of talent. Offensive line may need improvement, but it's still okay. Offensively, their weapons are really good. Stephon Diggs is a stud. Gabe Davis, I think he's a stud. Dawson Knox is a stud. Maybe they may look to add another receiver. Isaiah McKenzie's awesome. And Jamison Crowder is pretty decent. Defensively, they need a lot of. I think they're pretty good. They may look to add another pass rusher. Von Miller, he should be fully back and healthy. Because we know he was hurt last year, and you know their defense did not put them in a position where they want to be at. Because remember that game. Remember when they got shut out by the Bengals. So make sure you remember that game. And also secondary, you know, it's pretty decent. They could lose Jordan Poyer, but I don't think it's a bit of a loss you think. I expect Elam, you know, expecting good things out of his I want to see him good in his second year. So their corners are solid. So yeah, that's how I see the Buffalo Bills, you know, as a contender. So I wouldn't put them as favorite until I'm at least a believer in them. So yeah. All right, next team we have the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, to me, now this is a team that could definitely look at Derek Carr. So yeah, this is a team that could definitely look at Derek Carr. Now, the Panthers, to me, are kind of another fascinating team. Now, this is a team that almost made the playoffs last year, because you know. So I think the Panthers So I'm kind of really don't know where I put the Panthers at, because some people argue that they could definitely be a mid team though, because they was mid last year. But I kind of feel like the Panthers seem like they have pretty good talent offensively. They're kind of really good. They're young. Deonta Foreman's pretty good. DJ Moore's pretty good. Terrence Marshall's pretty good. They may look to add another wide receiver and maybe a tight end. Offensive line needs a little work. You know, defensively, they're really good. Derek Brown's a beast. Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, who knows if he's coming back. And their secondary is pretty good with J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, and all that, and C.J. Henderson. So their defense is pretty good, but offensively, they just need improvement. They need to improve the quarterback as well. So I don't really know if I can put them. I don't really think they stink that bad. But to me, since they don't have the quarterback, I'm going to say they're just an intriguing mess, because the Panthers, you know, they just don't have a quarterback right now. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be the guy. So I think it's either going to be Jimmy G, maybe Derek Carr, or maybe it could be a rookie. Like, who knows? And also, you know, they got Frank Reich, who is an elite coach. He's one of the most underrated coaches I've ever seen. So, yeah, so I see the Panthers as an intriguing mess. Until they find a quarterback who's like solid, I'll probably put them as a mid or maybe dark horse. All right, next team, we have Chicago Bears. The Bears, to me, you know, they just stink. You know why? The reason why they just stink is because, the Bears, they were too much depending on Justin Fields. But Justin Fields, he wasn't good in like year 1 or year 2. Like, the question is, like, could he be good in year 3? Which that's the question. Like, can he at least take a step forward? But if he can take a step forward, I think the Bears can definitely make the playoffs. But they're kind of like the least talented team I've ever seen, because the Bears, offensively, they're pretty good, but they're not as great. They got plenty of weapons. Darnell Mooney's pretty good. Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet is good. But I think the Bears' offense, with the weapons they have, is enough to at least score some points. But the offensive line is atrocious. They need a lot of work. Defensively, they're young. Their secondary's young with some young players on there. They may need to at least improve, like add another corner and, like adding some linebackers, adding some pass rushers. They can use all that cap room to at least do that. Especially, they can do that in the draft. So, yeah, that's how I see the Bears. And also, their coaching staff is not as good as it is. So, yeah. So, to me, I got the Bears as a you stink category. Until they make some big-time moves, I'll probably move them up a little bit. So, yeah. All right, next team, we have Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, we're gonna see what they're gonna do with T. Higgins. Is he gonna come back next year? Is he not gonna come back? Like, who knows? We're gonna see what they're gonna do with T. Higgins, because they could lose him, but I don't think it's big of a lossy thing. They still got playing weapons on offense. Jamar Chase is a stud. Tyler Boyd's pretty good. Hayden Hurts, he's good but not great. They may look to add another. They may look to add another tight end. Running back's awesome. Joe Mixon, he could be in a little bit of trouble, but he's still good. Offensive line solid. We know it was hurt all last year, so some of their offensive linemen should be back and healthy. Defensively, they're really good. They're good up front. They're good at the linebacker position. And their secondary is pretty solid. And everybody's basically in their prime, which that's pretty good. So they may lose Jesse Bates and Von Miller, but that could definitely be a potential loss for them. Maybe they could look to replace those guys. I think they're going to at least resign one of them, but not both. But I think their secondary is very solid. Their corners are just pretty good. And their defensive, and they got a really smart defensive coordinator as well. And Zach Taylor, is a good offensive coach, because we heard a rumor saying that he might step out, but he's not. But to me, I'm not sure if I can put the Bengals in the favorite category just yet. But I still think there's more holes than you think. But it's not a tons of holes on their roster. So, to me, I want to say the Bengals are just a favorite to me, but I'm going to say they're just a contender for right now. Maybe you can argue both. Like, I don't know. And especially Joe Burrow, he's a stud at quarterback as well. He's pretty good. So, yeah. So, yeah, I got the Bengals as a contender. So, yeah. Bengals are a contender. Next team, we got the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns is a tough one. Now, we know they didn't make the playoffs last year. Deshaun Watson, who knows what Deshaun Watson going to look like. Now, here's the thing. If he can take a step forward this year, I think the Browns will make the playoffs, though. But I feel like that they're kind of in a tough division, though, with the Ravens, 'Cause I feel like they're in a tough division because we know that Joe Burrow is there, and Lamar Jackson might still be there. I feel like if he's gone, I think that might give the Browns a chance to like make a playoff push. So yeah, but their coaching, Kevin Stefanski is kind of out of the heat. He's a good offensive play caller. Offensively, they're okay, but not great. Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones could be a good combo at wide receiver. Nick Chubb is a stud. They could lose Kareem Hunt, but I don't think it's big of a loss you think. David Njoku's solid. Offensive line's pretty good. Defensively, they just need a scheme change because we know they lost their defensive coordinator and they have a new one, but I don't know what his name is. So I think they need to use a little more size, like on their defensive line. Maybe they may look to add another pass rusher because Clowney could be gone. They may look to improve at linebacker. Secondary is solid. Denzel Ward's a stud. They may look to improve at another corner position. They may look to improve safety because John Johnson is gone. So, yeah, so I kind of feel like the Browns to me, like, I don't think the Browns are going to be a bad team, but I'm going to say the Browns to me, I'm not sure if I can put them in dark horse because I don't know if I'm a believer in this team. Unless they can make some noise, I think this team can definitely get on the run. But to me, I think the Browns, I don't think the Browns are going to be a bad team. I'm just going to say that the Browns are just a mid team to me because they were so mid last year where, they didn't have a chance to make the playoffs because Watson was not playing because Jacoby Brissett was taking over. And especially Watson was a little rusty at the end of the season. So, yeah. But until Watson gets it together, I think this team will make the playoffs. So, yeah. So, I got the Browns as a mid-team. Next team, we have the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, to me, are a contender. The reason why I put the Cowboys as a contender is because Dallas, they're a pretty good, talented roster. Offensively, they're pretty solid. CeeDee Lamb's a stud. Michael Gallup is awesome. Dalton Schultz, we'll see what we're going to do with him. He could leave, but I don't know. Noah Brown's pretty good. Their running back position is pretty good. Tony Pollard's a stud. Zeke Elliott. I don't think Zeke Elliott is the same player, but he's still pretty good. I mean, one of them could be gone, but I don't really think so. I think there are rumors about Zeke might play for a new team. Tony Pollard, who knows if he's gonna come back. So that's gonna be a questionable to see. Offensive line is solid. Defensively, they're really good. They may look to add another pass rusher, and maybe look to improve at linebacker. Secondary, it's pretty solid. Trayvon Diggs is a stud. Their safeties are pretty good. They may look to add another corner. And also, their coaching staff is really good. Mike McCarthy has stabilized his organization pretty good. And keeping Dan Quinn was huge. And, their offensive coordinator, with Kellen Moore being gone, that's kind of bad news here, but I don't really know who their offensive coordinator is. I might need to look his name up, but I don't know. But here's the thing to me. The Dallas Cowboys are just that one team, where, they just don't find a way to get themselves, further to the championship. One year they just take a step forward, 1 year take a step back, 1 year take a step forward, and 1 year take a step back. So that's how the Cowboys feel like to me, though. And I still feel like they're a good franchise and all that. So, yeah. And now they got Mike McCarthy calling plays for next year. So yeah. So I got the Cowboys as contender. Next team, we have the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, to me, they're a team that did not make the playoffs, though, because they have not made the playoffs in years since, Peyton Manning, has retired. But Denver has a new coach in Sean Payton, which I believe he's a great coach. And also, deep offensively, Russell Wilson last year was definitely terrible. And offensively, they were really bad, especially under Nathaniel Hackett, which he was obviously the worst coach in football. Offensively, they were just bad because, their receivers, they're good, but not great. Jerry Jeudy could be gone, but who knows? He could be gone or could not be gone. Like, who knows? Offensive line is terrible. They need some work. Defensively, they're pretty good up front. Maybe they need to at least improve. Maybe they look to at least improve their defensive line, maybe at linebacker, maybe at defensive end. Secondary is awesome. Patrick Surtain is a stud. They may look to add another corner. And their safeties, Justin Simmons is a stud. Kareem Jackson, he's getting older, but he's still good. So their defense is okay, but it's not great. But I kind of really feel like with Sean Payton entering his first year as a Broncos head coach, I think he can make this team extremely better. He can make the Broncos competitive, though. I feel like that Sean Payton's going to make this team, make the Broncos a lot more competitive like he did to the New Orleans Saints. So the Broncos, to me, are... I want to say they're a mid-team or a dark horse, but the Broncos, to me, feel like an intriguing mess because they were such a mess last year. And I just kind of really feel like that Denver can make some big-time moves here with a lot. And they can use all this cap room. So if they can at least make some moves here, I think this team can definitely be dangerous. So, yeah, I see the Broncos as an intriguing mess. Next team, we have Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are another interesting team. This is a team that, that barely made the playoffs last year, but they didn't really make it, though, which they should have at least made the playoffs. Now, Dan Campbell's entering, his third year as a head coach. So, yeah, that's exciting to see. Jarek, the Lions feel like, to me, they were really, really dangerous, though, to me this year. Like, this team definitely could have at least won 10 games last year, but they didn't really make the playoffs, though. But the Lions, they got some talent offensively. They're really good. St. Brown's a beast. Jameson Williams should be back. DJ Chark is awesome. Running backs are solid. DeAndre Swift is pretty good. Jamal Williams is pretty good. They could lose Jamal Williams, but I don't think it's a bit of a loss you can think. Offensive line is pretty good. Maybe they may look to add more depth on there. Defensively, they're pretty good. Aiden Hutchinson's going to his second year. They may look to at least improve their defensive line a little bit, like add more linebackers and add more edge rushers. Secondary is solid, but not great. They may look to improve at corner. Safeties is awesome, but the question is that I'm not really sure if Dan Campbell's going to take this team where this team wants to be at, though. But to me, I don't think the Lions, and also the Lions can definitely get bringing a quarterback. Jared Goff he's okay but not great. But to me, I think the Lions are like somewhere between like mid and contender. But I'm not gonna say they're be a contender yet until I'm a big believer in them, until they make some big time moves. But I'm gonna say the Lions are just a dark horse right now. But if they can at least add some big time moves, then this team can be very dangerous. So yeah, but I kind of feel like the Lions can probably like win like 10, 11, 12 games this year and might win a playoff game, which that could be nice for them. So yeah. So I got the Lions as a dark horse. Next team we have the Houston Texans. Texans to me, they just stink. And you know it. You know, the reason why Houston stink is because, they just like the reason why they stink is because they don't have a quarterback right now. And I don't think Davis Mills the answer. So I think they might look to get a veteran. Maybe they look to draft one. And they don't got a lot of talent. So offensively, like they really don't. Like you really need everything. You need wide receivers, running back, tight end. They need an offensive line. Their defensive line needs improvement. They need some pass rushers. They need linebackers. They need corners and safeties. They literally need everything. Like if this team don't really have a good offseason, then this could definitely be the worst team in the league. But look, they got a new coach in DeMeco Ryans, which I have really good faith in. Like, here's the thing. If he's going to bring, like, the 49er scheme, like, to this team with like, no linebackers, no pass rushers, no corners, no safeties, this could definitely be the worst team in the league. So, yeah. So, Texans just stink. The Green Bay Packers, the Packers, are another interesting team, though. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but we're gonna see what they're gonna do with Aaron Rodgers, though, because they're saying Aaron Rodgers is on the side in the future. So if Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay, then I think this team will definitely be. I think this team will definitely be back in the playoffs. But if he doesn't come back, then I think this team will be a mess. So who knows? Green Bay has plenty of talent, though. Christian Watson's entering his second year, which I like to see him break out in year 2 to become a stud at number 1 wide receiver. Romeo Doubs is awesome. Tanyan could be gone, but I don't know. This is not big of a loss, you think. Running back positions is pretty good. Aaron Jones is a stud. A.J. Dillon's a stud. Offensive line, solid. Defensively, they're really good, especially up front and at linebacker. They're good in the secondary. Their corners are pretty good. Their safeties are good, but they can lose Adrian Amos, but I don't think it's a bit of a loss you think. So I'm just gonna and also you still got Matt LaFleur, who's a great play caller, and then Joe Barry, he's a good defensive coordinator. So yeah. So the Packers, to me, feel like they got some talent on their roster. So to me, I kind of really feel like that, the Packers, I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers is there in Green Bay for right now until something changes. So to me, I'm not sure if I can put the Packers as a contender just yet. I think I'm leaning towards favorite in mid. So I'm not sure if I can put them as a contender right now. But I'm just going to say they're just a dark horse to be. I'm going to say they're just a contender for right now until something changes. The reason why I'm just going to say that Green Bay is just a contender is because they got Aaron Rodgers. they got the pieces on both sides of the ball to at least win a championship. And also, everybody is like almost in their prime though. So yeah, so Green Bay should be back in the playoffs next year. If long as Aaron Rodgers is still there, I think they should be back. So yeah, I got Green Bay as contender. Next team, we got the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts are another fascinating team. They got a new head coach in Shane Steichen. Yeah, but the Colts got pretty good talent on both sides of the ball. Jonathan Taylor's a stud. Michael Pittman's is pretty good, but not great. Paris Campbell's okay. Alec Pierce, going in second year, but he's not as good as you think. Tight ends is good. Mo Cox is awesome. The Colts, they got some talent on offense, but some of their receiving position is not as good. Like they don't really have their receiving position is good, but it's not great. Offensive line is solid, but it's getting older though, and I feel like it's not the same like it was years ago. So they may look to improve that. Defensively, they got some talent like DeForest Buckner, Bobby Okereke. They got Darius Leonard, so they might look in Kwity Paye. So, and also the secondary is Stephon Gilmore, Julian Blackmon. So they got some talent on defense, but don't get me wrong. But the question is that the Colts, they don't have a quarterback. Like, who's that quarterback going to be? Like, I don't really know if Matt Ryan's going to be the answer for the quarterback, which I think that's could be in question. So to me, like, I don't really know. Like who knows if Matt Ryan's going to play? Like Matt Ryan. Like, so yeah. So especially, think about this during the season. Indianapolis, they had an intern. Frank Wright was fired, and they had Jeff Saturday. And Jeff Saturday didn't do a good job, with his team. I think he nearly carried the team. So, yeah, but I kind of feel like the Colts kind of have some talent on defense. But I don't think the Colts are rebuilding. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're a rebuilding team just yet. But they just don't have the quarterback right now. Like, who's going to be? Like, do you think, is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it going to be Derek Carr? Or maybe a rookie? Like, who knows? But I kind of feel like the Colts got some talent on both sides of the ball. But since they don't have the quarterback right now, I'm going to say they're just an intriguing mess to me. Because the reason why I'm just saying that they're just an intriguing mess is because they just got too much talent on defense to be a U-Stink team. Because I kind of felt the Colts definitely could be that interesting though. So yeah. Maybe I'll just say they just stink for right now and put them in the way bottom tier right now until they get a quarterback. But if they get like an Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo, or Derek Carr, okay, this team will probably be like maybe a dark horse or a contender or a mid team. I'll probably move them up somewhere to get a veteran. So yeah, or maybe if they get Baker Mayfield, I'll move them up a little bit, something like that. If they get some, so yeah, so I got the Colts and you stink. Jacksonville Jaguars. They got Trevor Lawrence, who they call him the Prince. Jacksonville made the playoffs last year, which that's pretty exciting to see. Jacksonville, to me, they're pretty interesting though, because they made the playoffs last year and they won that division. Like, they took control of that division because they've been winning, like, they've been winning a lot though. Like, don't get me wrong, they've been starting to get on a winning streak, and Doug Peterson has changed his culture, and I feel like Doug Peterson's a good play caller. I'm not really sold on the scheme or the coordinator, which that kind of be their weaknesses. But offensively, they got some talent. Christian Kirk is pretty good. Um, Zay Zay Jones is pretty good. Um, they added Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is like amazing. That's a nice piece for Trevor Lawrence. Who knows if they're gonna resign Evan Ingram or not? Like who knows? Which that could be in question. Like maybe he says, maybe he's gone. Like who knows? I don't really know if he's gonna be back next year, but I think they will resign him. Their running back position is pretty good. Travis Etienne is a stud. I think he'll be good in year 2. Offensive line is solid. They may need some work there. Defensively, they're pretty good. They got some young talent on defense. They may look to improve at linebacker. They may look to improve at They may look to improve like their edge rusher outside Josh Allen. Secondary is pretty good, but not great. They may look to improve at corner. Safeties is pretty good. So, yeah. So I think Jacksonville can make some big time moves there. But I'm not sure if I can put them as a contender yet but I'm not sold on being a contender just yet. So right now I'm just gonna put them as a dark horse team for right now. But if Jacksonville can make some big time moves, like if they can make some big time moves, this team can definitely be really dangerous. So yeah. So I got Jacksonville as a dark horse. Next team we have the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs to me, you can argue they're a contender, but I think they're likely a favorite though, because due to the odds, they're favored to win the Super Bowl next year. But I just kind of feel like the Chiefs are just a favorite to me because they're just the best team in the league. You know, they got Patrick Mahomes, who was the best quarterback, 2-time MVP. Andy Reid, they got the best coach here. And then you got Spags, who's a good defensive coordinator. I feel like he did a good job not carrying that defense. Offensively, they lost Eric Bieniemy, which that's not big of a loss. Andy Reid is still good. He's good. He's a good play caller. And then you got some talent on offense. You got some young talent. Travis Kelce is a stud. Juju Smith-Schuster's pretty good. Kadarius Toney was a nice piece to them. He's amazing. Valdez-Scantling is pretty good. And then you got Mecole Hardman, who's a stud. They could lose him, but I don't think it's a bit of a loss, you would think. Sky Moore's entering his second year. So they got a lot of depth at wide receiver. Offensive line is very strong, which is the best in the league. Defensively, they're okay. They got some talent. They got some talent on that defense. So yeah. So yeah, they got some talent on defense. It's pretty young. We're gonna see what they get out of their young players for their second year, and I think they're gonna be good. So yeah. So I think the Chiefs, they got some young talent on defense, and we understand and we know they're just piecing things together. So that's all they're just doing is piecing things together. But what they're not though, at least they've proven the draft to get better, which that's what I like to see. So the Chiefs to me are a favorite. Um, So the Chiefs. Next team we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders to me are another team. They're another fascinating team. Now the Raiders, they didn't make the playoffs last year because they're a team that did not make the playoffs last year because there's too much on Derek Carr to depending. Now Derek Carr is not going to be the quarterback next year, so they got to figure out who the quarterback's going to be. Rather going to get Aaron Rodgers, rather going to get Jimmy Garoppolo. If they get Aaron Rodgers, I think this team will definitely be the best team in the league. Offensively, I still believe in this coaching staff. Josh McDaniels, good play caller. Offensively, they're really good. Devontae Adams is a stud, and Hunter Renfro's good. Hunter Renfro's a good route runner. Darren Waller's a beast. Josh Jacobs, we'll see what do with him. Maybe he could be gone next season. Who knows? But I regret that they resign him. So, yeah, that's how I kind of really see. Yeah, it's the Raiders. And then offensive line is pretty solid. So it's pretty darn good. Defensively, they're okay. Max Crosby and Chandler Jones is pretty good. They may look to improve a more depth on their defensive line. Secondary may need improvement. They may look to improve at corner and safety. So, yeah. So, the Raiders, to me, kind of really feel like I think they were such a mess last year. So, I'm going to say they're just, since they don't have that quarterback right now, I'm going to say they're just an intriguing mess because they just don't have that quarterback right now. And, their defense, needs improvement. So, yeah. So that's how I see as the Raiders here. So if they bring a rookie, I mean, this team will definitely be a mess, but who knows who their quarterback's going to be. So, yeah. So next team, we have the LA Chargers. The Chargers are another fascinating team. The Chargers, to me, Brandon Stanley, entering his, third year as a head coach, and they're a team that made the playoffs last year. They almost didn't make the playoffs last year because due to injury, due to their injuries though on the offensive line and defense, and and the weapons they have on offense. Keenan Allen is a little overrated, but Mike Williams is a stud. Jalen Guyton should be fully back and healthy. DeAndre Carter is pretty good. They may look to improve at tight end. Austin Ekeler is pretty good. The other team, the other player, Josh Palmer is pretty good. Defensively, they may need some work here. They may lose now. Who knows if Drew Tranquil is going to be stay? He could be gone. Who knows? But you still got Khalil Mack, Kenneth Murray, and you got Fakal Van Noord, and you got Joey Bosa, who is a beast. And their secondary is okay, but not great. J.C. Jackson should be fully back and healthy because he was hurt all year. And then Derwin James is a beast. And their other corners are pretty good. So, yeah, so the Chargers got some talent on both sides of the ball. But I'm not sure if I can put them as a contender just yet until I'm a believer in this team. So, to me, I'm going to say the Chargers are just a dark horse because I just don't really know if I can put them in a contender just yet. I just kind of feel like the Chargers are that team, that just fluke, just goes on the downfall. So yeah. So that's how I kind of really see it at the Chargers, though. You know, Justin Herbert's a good quarterback as well. He's still elite. And their coaching staff is kind of overrated. Brandon Stanley could be a little overrated. So that's why I'm not sure if I can put him at a contender, because Brandon Stanley seems like, you know, he's not a, like, he's almost like he's not a good defensive coordinator. And then offensive, you know, the Chargers brought in a new OC and Kellen Moore. I think it's gonna be a lot easier for Justin Herbert. So yeah, so I got the Chargers as a dark horse. Next team we have the LA Rams. The LA Rams, to me, the Rams, you know, they're a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. You know, this was Sean McVay's first losing season. Um, who knows if Matthew Stafford's gonna come back? If I was Matthew Stafford, you know, I would retire. Like, I don't want to see you get hurt. I don't want to see you in a wheelchair or anything like that. Like, I don't want to see all that. I would retire. Now, the Rams still got a little talent. You know, their offense is pretty good. Their defense is okay, but not great. Jalen Ramsey could be gone. We could see him leaving. Like, who knows if he's going to stay, because there are rumors about him getting traded. But I regret that despite the rumors. I think he will stay, but it's most likely that he's going to be out of there. And, you know, Bobby Wagner, he's gone. They still got Aaron Donald. So maybe they may look to at least improve their defensive line a little more, like add more depth. Maybe improve at corner and safety. Offensive line needs some work. You know, it wasn't great last year because their offensive line wasn't the same without Andrew Whitworth. Um, their offensive weapons are pretty good. Tyler Higbee's okay, but not great. Cooper Kupp, you know, is a stud, so he should be fully back and healthy. Allen Robinson, who knows if he's going to be back next year. Maybe, maybe not. So maybe they may look to add another receiver. So, yeah, and I feel like with the Rams, you know, with their getting injured, I mean, I just kind of really feel like with their players getting injured, I feel like they just don't have that anymore. So, to me, I don't think the Rams are going to be a bad team. Like I'm going to say the Rams are just a mid team for right now, because until they can make some moves, I'm probably going to move them up a little bit. But if they're on a rebuilding mode, then I think this team will be the worst team in the league. So yeah, that's how I see it as the Rams here. The next team, we have the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are another interesting team. The Dolphins, you know, the Dolphins kind of really feel like, you know, their team that made the playoffs last year. You know, who knows if the quarterback's going to be healthy, because Tua seemed like he hasn't been staying healthy because he's been getting hurt a lot. And, you know, he didn't play a whole season because he was hurt. So yeah, I kind of feel like the Dolphins kind of did take a step forward this year. So yeah, but I'm just don't know if the Dolphins are going to be able to be where they want to be at, though, because first of all, you know, we don't really know if the quarterback's going to be healthy, and their coaching is pretty good. You know, they got Mike McDaniel entering second year. Offensively, they're pretty good and solid. Tyreek Hill's a stud. Jalen Waddle's a stud. Mike Gesicki, he could be gone, but who knows? And then they may look to improve at running back. Raheem Mostert could be gone. Offensive line is solid. Defensively, they're not as good. They may need some work, but they got some players there like Christian Wilkins, Bradley Chubb, and Jerome Baker. But I just kind of really feel like, you know, Brandon Vic Fangio could help. Their secondary is pretty solid. They got Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, and Byron Jones in there. So their secondary is solid, but they need to use a little bit more size on their defense, a little more. So yeah, if they can make some moves, I think this team can be very dangerous though. So to me, I'm not really a believer in this Dolphins defense right now. So I'm gonna say the Dolphins are just a mid team. I'm not gonna put them in dark horse just yet until they make some big time moves. I'm just gonna put them as a mid team for right now until something happens. So yeah, I got the Dolphins as a mid team. All right, next team we have the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, they're another interesting team. So, so the Vikings to me, they're a team that made the playoffs last year. Um, we're gonna see what they're gonna do with Kirk Cousins because there are rumors saying that Kirk Cousins could lead the Vikings for a new team, but I don't think it's happening. Um, there are rumors saying that that Alan Thiam might be might get cut because due to the cap space. So maybe they may look to add another receiver just in case. Justin Jefferson's a stud. TJ Hawkinson's pretty good. Running back position's pretty good. Dalvin Cook is a beast. He could be gone, but who knows? Offensive line's pretty solid. Defensively, they're pretty good, but not great. Their defensive line is pretty solid, but their secondary, it's okay, but not great. They're getting older. Like Patrick Peterson's getting older and Harrison Smith. But they brought in Brian Flores, with the scheme to probably help. So yeah. So that can probably help. So yeah. So yeah. So the Vikings to me, I think they need to improve at corner. Maybe they use like Brian Flores, he wants to play man, not zone. So they need to look to add another cornerback, like who it is. Like, do you think it's gonna be another corner in free agency? Will they make a trade? Like, who knows? So they gotta improve that. So the Vikings, to me, I'm not a big believer in this defense, but I'm a little. But I'm gonna say the Vikings are somewhere between dark horse and mid. But I'm not gonna put them as a contender just yet. So I'm probably gonna say the Vikings are a mid team for right now because they were like a dark horse last year because they made the playoffs and won that division and lost in the first round. So I'm saying that Minnesota is just a mid team because I feel like they have some questions on defense a little bit. So yeah, I see the Vikings as a mid team. Next team, we have the New England Patriots. The Patriots are another fascinating team. Now, this is a team that definitely went 8-9. Now, it's the best franchise, but we know they had a losing season. Bill Belichick's still the best coach. Mac Jones entering his third year as a quarterback. Patriots to me, this is a tough one because we're gonna see what the Patriots are gonna do with their free agent, with their players, with their young players on offense. But they could definitely lose Damian Harris and Jacoby Myers, but I don't think it's a bit of a loss, you think, but it could be though. So I think the Patriots, I think they need to at least improve at wide receiver. Now their offense is okay, but not great. They gotta look to improve at wide receiver. Like maybe D Hop or Brandon Cooks will probably help Mac with the help the Patriots, make a big jump so they can take a leap. Offensively, their running back position is pretty good. Defense now, offensive line solid. They may look to improve that a little bit, but it hasn't been great. Defensively, they're pretty good up front. They may look to add another pass rusher. Christian Barmore's pretty good. Josh Uche is pretty good. Matt Judon. They may look to at least like add another pass rusher there. Secondary may need some work. Now, Devin McCourty could be gone, but who knows? So, yeah. So, he could be gone. Like, who knows if he's going to be gone. So, yeah. So they may look to improve at cornerback. I mean, Marcus Jones is pretty good. He's entering his second year. Safeties are solid. They got some young pieces there, so maybe they look to improve that. And Matt Patricia, he's back in New England. Maybe he can at least improve their offense a little bit. I feel like New England kind of have to make some big time moves. But if they can make some big time moves, I think this team can be dangerous. But to me, I'm not sure if I can put the Patriots as a dark horse right now because I don't really know how good Mac Jones is going to be because I haven't seen much from Mac Jones, like, a lot. Like, he hasn't proven me wrong a little bit because he's been, like, so iffy and all that. So I think the Patriots might make the playoffs next year. Who knows? But to me, I'm going to, put them in the dark horse category because I think the Patriots can probably make some moves. Because they were so mid last year, but I'm thinking they're just gonna make some noise and probably make a run in the playoffs next year. Because I don't think Bill Belichick is gonna have 2 losing seasons in a row. So yeah, I got the Patriots as a dark horse. Next team we have the New Orleans Saints. The Saints to me are another fascinating team. The Saints, we'll see who their quarterback's going to be. Like, who's going to be the quarterback? That's in question. Like, who knows if Jameis is going to be back? Now we know he's going to be healthy next season. Like, who's going to be their quarterback? Like, now this is another team that definitely looked at Derek Carr. Now, if they get Derek Carr, I think this Saints team can definitely make the playoffs and take control of that division. Like, they still got some talent, on both sides of the ball. Michael Thomas is a stud. He should be fully back and healthy. Chris Olave is pretty good. Jarvis Landry, he's okay, but not great. Running back position is pretty good. Alvin Kamara is a stud. They may look to improve their offensive line a little bit because I don't think it's great. Defensively, they're really good, but they're getting older on defense, so maybe they might look to at least improve more depth on defensive line. Secondary, solid. So they got some talent on defense, though. But I just kind of really feel like their coaching is definitely in question. Like, I don't really know how far Dennis Allen's going to be able to take this team where they want to be at. So, to me, I think the Saints, to me, like, they have won 7 games this year, but I don't think they're, I think they're somewhere between dark horse and intriguing mess. But I think the Saints, to me, are more I think they're more of an intriguing mess to me because I feel like the Saints feel like they're a team where they don't want to be in competitively because they just don't have a quarterback right now. So I'm just gonna I'm sure got questions on the coaching as well. So I think the Saints are just an intriguing mess. Next team, we have the New York Giants. The Giants to me are a team that definitely made the playoffs last year. Giants, Daniel Jones is entering through his 5th year. Like, who knows if they're gonna at least like we want to see him take a step forward because we know he took a step forward last year. Now the Giants need some work though on offense. Now offensive line might need some work. I thought we saw we had a lot coming out from Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas, but receiving, they need to improve their wide receiver position. Where who's that number 1 target going to be? Is D Hop or Brandon Cooks? Who knows? They need to find that number 1 target for Daniel Jones. Defensively, they're pretty good. Kayvon Thibodeau's entering second year. So their pass rush is pretty good. They may look to add more depth there. Secondary, like Adoree Jackson and Xavier McKinley. Their secondary is pretty awesome. Maybe they look to add another corner there. So the Giants kind of have a little talent, but I'm gonna say that the Giants, to me, I still have a lot of questions about their team. And, their offensive coordinator left, and, Wink Martindale staying is huge. And they kept Ryan Dable coach of the year. So the Giants, to me, were a dark horse last year, but I'm not sure if I can put them as a contender. So I'm going to say the Giants are just a mid team. Because I just think the Giants, are just going to stay average to me. Because they're always, sometimes they're just average, sometimes they're just a mess. I mean, that's how we see it for the Giants. All right, next team, we have the New York Jets. The Jets, to me, had another losing season again. I feel like this is another team who had the worst franchise. Now, the Jets don't really have a quarterback right now. So, yeah, that's kind of iffy to see. And we know Zach Wilson, he's not going to be there next season. So, getting rid of Zach Wilson is good. They may look to add another quarterback. I'm not a huge fan of Robert Saleh. I feel like Robert Saleh could be out of the heat, and I feel like he's a little overrated. So I feel like the Jets could look to get a quarterback. Like, who's that quarterback going to be? Right, it's going to be Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, who's going to be that quarterback? They added Nathaniel Hackett to the Jets because he wasn't a good coach in Denver, and I think he won't be a good coach in the Jets. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would want to go with this absolute joke of a coaching staff. Because really, honestly, but they got some talent. Defensively, they're really good up front. Their secondary is pretty good. Sauce Gardner's a stud. They may look to add another corner. Offensive line is pretty good. They're very talented on offense. Garrett Wilson winning Rookie of the Year, he's pretty good. Elijah Moore entering his second year, he's pretty good. And Breece Hall, he should be fully back and healthy. So the Jets do got some talent on offense, but they just don't have the quarterback right now. So I say the Jets, to me, are just a mid. I think they're somewhere between you stink, intriguing mess, or mid. The Jets seem like they always be a mess to me, but this time I'm going to put them as a mid team because I think the Jets might take a little bit of a step forward this year. But if they could get a quarterback, I think this team can definitely make some noise for the playoffs. So yeah, I see the Jets as a mid team. Next team we have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, to me, they're another fascinating team. Now, this is a team that definitely lost in the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles, to me, they lost their whole coaching staff. They lost Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, which that's kind of huge for them. Who knows who's going to be their new offensive coordinator, who's going to be their new defensive coordinator. They still got some talent, though, on offense. A.J. Brown's a stud. Devonta Smith, we expect to make him a big jump to his third year. Dallas Goedert's pretty good. The running back position, Miles Sanders is pretty good. And Jalen Hurts is a stud at quarterback. Offensive line is still good, and defensively, they're very good up front, especially in the secondary. They may look to add another corner. They may look to re-sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and they might look to re-sign other free agents, but I just don't really know. They got some key contributors leave who are free agents that could be gone, like Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, some of those big names like that. I mean, the Eagles, to me, I don't really think the Eagles, to me, I don't think I can put them in the favorite category because I'm really not a believer in the Eagles being a favorite. So I think I'm leaning towards dark horse and contender. So to me, I think the Eagles are just a contender because, they were like a contender last year where where they started winning a lot of games, and their defense was like ranked first because their defense was obviously playing its best, and they was playing some championship defense. But I kind of feel like the Eagles could definitely take a step back this year if they lose. If they at least not lose, if they don't replace some of their free agents. So yeah. So I think the Eagles to me are just a contender. All right, next team we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are another team, are another fascinating team. So yeah, this Mike Tomlin entering, he's entering, the one of the best coaches in football. Kenny Pickett was promising. Like, he wasn't as great. Like, he wasn't like good as like a Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence. I think he was kind of promising though. Offensively, they're really good. The receivers are okay, but not great. I mean, Deontay Johnson is okay, but he's not great. George Pickens is a little bit overrated because all he just do is just catch the ball. All he just do is just catch consistent passes. Sometimes he drops them. Tight end is really good. Najee Harris is solid. Offensive line might need some work. Defensively, they're really good, but they're getting a little older. Like, how long will Cameron Hayward stay? And, TJ Watt is a stud. And we know they got some talent on defense. They may look to improve at corner. Mika Fitzpatrick is a stud, so their safeties are okay. So they need to look to improve at corner, and that's where their weakness is. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, to me, I kind of feel like they were kind of a dark horse last year because they made a move to the playoffs. But they were kind of mid last year. But I think the Steelers are gonna like make some noise, and I think they're probably gonna be back in the playoffs once again. So to me, I'm gonna say the Steelers. I'm leaning towards dark horse and mid, but I'm probably gonna say the Steelers are just a mid team because I just have some questions on Kenny Pickett. Like, is he gonna be good in year 2? Like, who knows? So yeah. All right, next team we have the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks are a team that definitely made the playoffs last year. You got Geno Smith, which I think he's gonna take a leap. Like, he could be gone next year. Who knows? But I regret he's staying. They got some talent on offense. DK Metcalf is a stud. Tyler Lockett is a stud. So the wide receiver position is pretty good. Noah Fant is awesome. Kenneth Walker is gonna be a stud. So yeah. So, yeah, they got some talent on there. Offensive line may need some work. Defensively, they're pretty good, but not great. But they're pretty young, though. Jamal Adams should be fully back and healthy. Tariq Woolen was awesome his first year. Could he be good his second year? They need to improve more depth on their defensive line. Maybe improve at linebacker and maybe look to add another corner. So yeah, so I think the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll, entering his he's still a good coach, but I feel like he could be most underrated. To me, the Seahawks, I feel like they should make the playoffs next year, but I don't think they're a bad team. Like, I feel like Seattle is the most underrated team I've ever seen. So I'm going to put the Seahawks as a dark horse. I think this team should make the playoffs again, but I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't, if they miss out. So, yeah. All right, next team we have the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, to me, are one of the best talented teams I've ever seen. Kyle Shanahan's already the best coach, but the big news is they lost DeMeco Ryans. They replaced him. I don't know if they replaced him or not. They replaced him with Steve Wilkes. So we're gonna see what he's gonna do. They got some talent. Offensively, they're good. Deebo Samuel's a stud. George Kittle's a stud. CMC is pretty good. And then you got Brandon Ayuk is awesome. Offensive line is pretty good, but I think they might need some work adding more offensive line in there. Defensively, they're arguably the best. Nick Bosa's a stud. Fred Warner's a stud. Secondary, they're pretty good. They may look to add another corner, and maybe they may look to re-sign Jimmy Ward, but if they want to, so yeah. So 49ers to me, like, we're going to see how good Brock Purdy will be in year 2. Like, would he take a step forward this year? Because he literally took a step forward this year. And then the Niners are really winning every game. So to me, I'm not sure I can put the Niners in the favorite category, but if they can get Aaron Rodgers, I think this team will definitely be a favorite. They should be Super Bowl favorites if they get him. So to me, the 49ers are a contender because they got all the pieces to at least win a championship. And they already got the best coach, but I still got questions on the quarterback and all that. Because we know Jimmy G ain't going to come back next year. But even if he does, I think this team will definitely still be good. All right, next team, we have Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, to me, Tom Brady retired. So, yeah, and he's out the team. I'm still not a big believer in their coaching staff. Todd Bowles, he's a good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach. They got some talent though. Offensively, they're pretty good. Mike Evans is okay, but not great. Chris Godwin is pretty good. He's solid. Julio Jones, he could be gone, but he's okay, but not great. Offensive line, is pretty solid. They may look to improve that, but it was all hurt last offseason, but it should be back and healthy. Defensively, they got some talent now. They got some free agents leaving the team, like Jamel Dean, Levante Davis, and Hakeem Hicks. I mean, those players could be gone, but yeah. But the good news is, they fired Byron Leftwich, so yeah. So the Bucks, to me, I feel like without Tom Brady, I feel like they won't be the same without him because they took control of that division with them. So to me, I think the Bucks are an intriguing mess because they just don't have the quarterback right now. Like if they get like a Jimmy G, I think they can be like a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 win team, or maybe an 11 win team, like something like that. If they get Aaron Rodgers, I think this team will be a contender. If they get Derek Carr, I think this team can definitely be a miss. So, yeah, depending on what they do at quarterback. Next team, we have the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, to me, they're a team that did make the playoffs last year. They really missed out because they were on a losing streak by the end of the year. I'm still a believer in Mike Vrabel. He's an excellent coach. Now, they had questions at quarterback, no. Now, who knows if Tannehill's going to come back? Because if I were Tannehill, I would come back and be the starter. But, offensively, they don't really got much talent. Derrick Henry's a stud. They may look to improve at wide receiver, add another receiver. Robert Woods is gone. Traylon Burks, he might be good in his second year. Austin Hooper's awesome. Now, their offensive line may need some work. It's not as good as it used to be. Defensively, they're very strong, but they were average against the run. So Harold Landry should be back. Jeffrey Simmons a stud. Their secondary is okay. Byers a stud. Now they may look to add another corner, which that's their question. So yeah, so the Titans kind of have some talent on defense, but they don't have much talent on offense. So I think the Titans should be back in the playoffs next year, and I think they could definitely take control of this division. I can see them finishing second in the division, but I don't know. But to me, I'm going to say the Titans are a dark horse because I think Tennessee is probably going to make some noise coming into the playoffs. I think Tennessee has a chance to be in the playoffs next year. I think they will make it back, depending on how well they do. So, yeah, I got Tennessee, as a dark horse, but I don't think they're just a contender or a favorite just yet. Until if they can get like Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G, or Derek Carr, I think this team can definitely be a contender. So yeah. And the last team, we got the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are another team that definitely almost went on a run to the playoffs. Now the question is that they just don't have a quarterback. Like, who's that quarterback going to be? Like, it's going to be Lamar Jackson. Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, like who's that quarterback's going to be? Because I don't think Wentz is the answer because I know Wentz has left, but I don't really know if Sam Howell is going to be the answer too. But Washington still has plenty of talent though. On skill positions they got their offense, with wide receiver, running back, tight end, all that. Offensive line may need some work. Defensively, they're pretty good up front. So yeah, but they may need to improve at linebacker, and their secondary is pretty young, so they may need to improve at corner and safety. So yeah, Washington has plenty of talent, but Ron Rivera, he's still a good coach, but I'm not sure if he's a guy to take this team where they want to be at. Now, the good news is that they brought in an offensive coordinator, they brought in Bieniemy, to help that offense. But I think they could definitely bring in a quarterback. But if they can at least if they get like an elite core like Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo, or Lamar Jackson, this team could definitely be dangerous. But I think Washington, if they get Derek Carr, they can be a mid team. So to me, since Washington don't have that quarterback, I think they're more of like an intriguing mess to me because they always are every year. Because their ownership is probably like not as good as you think, but I didn't really like what they did like all off season, so I just put them as an intriguing mess. So okay, so those are all my tiers. So we got the favorites is the Chiefs. The contender, we got the Ravens, Bills, Bengals, Cowboys, Packers, Eagles, Niners. Dark horse, Lions, Jaguars, Chargers, Patriots, Seahawks, Titans. Mid category, Browns, Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, Giants, Jets, and Steelers. Intriguing mess category, we got the Panthers, Broncos, Raiders, Saints, Buccaneers, and Commanders. And the U-Stand category, the Cardinals, Falcons, Bears, Texans, and Colts. So those are all my tiers for 2023. So if I decide to change my mind, I can. So yeah. So let me know in the comments below where you would rank your favorite team at. So yeah, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. So, well, this is Emmanuel Jones for Vic Fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Peace.